Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation, along with
CJ Liu from the Fired Up with CJ show.
Woohoo! If you've ever wanted more courage in your life, then do we have the show for you. Today we'll talk about raw courage, what it is, how to get it, how to keep it, and how to access it on a moment's notice when you need it the most. That plus we'll talk about being surrounded by cancer, magic garden, empty nest groups, approaching storms, crazy moves, orange skies, Jessica's courage, and what in the world dangling from ropes on your birthday has to do with anything. Gotcha. So welcome back to the show, CJ. Are you ready to shine?
I am ready to shine.
Woohoo!
Okay, sorry for people who find my laugh annoying. I saw one of the comments were like, your laugh is so annoying. Sorry. Just going to have to be.
You can't
prevent
please everyone. And you know, this is something that I get on the woohoo side of things too, that the majority resonate with the woohoo and a certain amount don't. And I just have to be me, because what people like the least, if they listen to somebody or watch somebody, is somebody who's not genuine.
Yes.
That's what drives people the most. So if you have to laugh, laugh. If you want to woohoo, then woohoo!
Sorry, that's my answer too. You got to be, I mean, I spent this much work trying to get here to go in reverse and start pretending who I'm not to be. Who I'm not is like what I did a long time ago. I'm done with that life.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the dangling on ropes on your birthday?
Oh my God,
What?
this was the greatest gift that came out of nowhere. It was, so I went back for my birthday to, actually I didn't do it for my birthday. It was actually my week after my birthday for my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. And I got my dad to go kayaking with me, and we climbed up to the top of this little island, and it was just, with my 76-year-old dad, this was just magical and just so awesome. And then the next day we went with my nephews, my sister's sons, one just preteen, one early teens. We went to, they said, would you want to go to a ropes course and do this ropes course? I did rope courses once as a kid with my sister. I froze up. It was a mess. I was scared of heights, and I froze up on the thing. So I wanted to redeem myself at like 18 or 19 in this leadership training course. And so I did this ropes course with everybody. I froze up.
Oh, wow.
And it was just awful, awful, awful. You know, shaking, legs gone underneath you, can't move, in tears. This was my first time trying this since then. Now, ropes courses have come a long ways. This was an indoor one with an automatic belay, and
wow, very cool.
And they said, do you want to do this? And I'm like, yes, more than anything in the world. We get there and they're like, it's going to be at least an hour and a half wait. I'm like, I've got nowhere to go. I wanted healing, because I know that I've come a long way and that I've transformed, and even based on my past experiences, old Michael doesn't exist anymore. I get up on this ropes course, and I go to the top of this thing first. It's 30, 40 feet down. It's a nice cement floor landing if something were to happen. And for some reason, first off, I start singing in French. Alouette, jeune alouette. I have no idea what's going on. I was like possessed, and I'm going across these ropes things. You know, like what do you call it? Like a tightrope. 30, 40 feet up. Alouette, alouette, alouette. And I do a handful of these things before I stop. Then my legs start to go rubbery underneath me, and I'm like, no. I'm doing it. And I rocked that course. I even got to do the zip line before the end.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have faith or trust or a knowing that I'm always supported by the universe no matter what. And that the fear there, because you're always supported, is completely without need. And so on the zip line, I said, do I have to hold on? And they're like, no. I'm like, all right. I leapt off of this thing into a Superman.
Nice.
And I was supported. It was such a cathartic, healing experience to realize you're always loved and supported and that there's always ground beneath you. I don't even have the words for it, but it was so transformative. And I know that courage will translate into everything else, just more of that knowingness. Because I was supported as a kid when I did it too, but I didn't believe it. I didn't have that faith. And so I put it out there and oh my God, it was so cool.
Nice. Wow. So you really did have kind of a courage experience, I would say. Wow.
A supercharged current. It was healing because you go back to an experience from your childhood that didn't work out. And usually you don't get to go back literally. You can visualization, but go back and relive it. But in this case, I actually, in a sense, got to go back and relive it.
So yesterday, I'm not sure what's happening, but I think the universe is trying to throw me a bone because my son is in college and part of what I have to do is just let go, right? And just let him be. And it's harder than heck. And I'm doing a pretty good to average job. Not amazing. It's just very hard.
It's a learning.
Yeah, it is. And what's coming instead is just something unexpected and wonderful. About a year ago, I thought I'm going to start coaching millennials, and I have. I've started coaching a bunch of millennials, and they've kind of come out of nowhere. And I'm coaching a friend's son who kind of touches base every now and then. He's like, "Here's what's going on, and I just need a sounding board." And his friend and some other people, they're just coming out of the woman at the restaurant. They're coming out of the woodwork. And what's wonderful is I'm able to have that coaching experience for a younger person. So I'm almost training myself for when Jida does, or if he needs help, I'll be around to help him out. And also it's satisfying my need to connect to someone who's to connect with a young person who's going through lots of transitions, changes, and becoming of self, because that is what's basically happening. And yesterday I saw just a phenomenal thing. One of these folks that I've been working with, this younger adult, he has been on a spiritual program. There's a program in Colombia in like spiritual psychology or something like that. And so he's been doing that and making all these huge discoveries. And he has a comedy channel and he does rap and he does singing and he does poetry and he's just on this expressive explosion. And as part of that, this art group in Seattle saw him and said, "Would you like to perform here?" And that's something that he hadn't done before. And so he was performing, and I barely know this guy, but I thought, well, I'm going to go because this is so important to him. And so I dragged my 54-year-old self into this like grungy bar in this edgy neighborhood.
Oh, cool.
Full of beer-stained floors, and everything was sticky, and everyone was wearing black and had pierced items and tattoos. And
oh, these were my homies.
I mean, I'm just so out of sync, I'm not wearing the right color, and I don't even care. So I go mostly to support this guy, and it's like, 8, really late, like way past my bedtime. So no, I'm never in jam. I'm always in jammies at this time, right? So I go. So I put myself out of my comfort zone, but most importantly, I watch him perform this raw performance where he goes and talks about his experiences with ego, and he talks about how it's really just about fear and how he is going to be like basically no longer embracing that part, that egoic self, the fearful part. And then he talks about a story of how when he was in college, he was so depressed that he contemplated in high school and I think in college killing himself because he suffered from depression so dramatically. And then he talks about just the feeling of depression. And then he talks about going to meditation and how it helped him so much in terms of calming his mind and such. And then he talks about his journey where he had this really high-paying, nice corporate job at Microsoft and quit it. And he just talks about all these courageous acts culminating in him just getting up in the stage. And this is the worst venue because everyone is out like kind of talking and mingling, and there's art exhibits. It's like the most ADHD environment that you can imagine. So here he is busting open his heart, telling people about his like really like incredible experience and so much courage. Can you imagine just standing up and talking about to a bunch of strangers about the things that probably are your deepest, darkest secret, and you're just dragging them all out for everyone to see. And as he says, be very vulnerable. That's like the most important thing in life. And I was just astounded because I cannot imagine being 23 years old and revealing all these deepest, shadowy sides of yourself, and the amount of courage that you must have to do that. And then I don't know, what I just felt energetically is just freedom, the sense of like, like now I'm free. I've released every single darkest thing about me that I can imagine, and I'm free. Did you feel that way? What did it feel like for you?
Freedom, certainly. Freedom. I came down. I don't know if it was both my mom was there and my sister was there. I think, it was my mom. She said that there were people from after I woohooed and did the Superman thing. There were people from below who were laughing and looking up, and my mom's going, "That's my crazy 47-year-old son."
Oh, yeah. It's funny. I was just talking to, I can't remember who I was talking to because I've talked to so many people this last week. But we were talking about fear and how it's Paul Selig. And he was just saying, you need to just get rid of the fear. I mean, there's some healthy fear, but most of it is unhealthy. It's conditioned about who we should be and what we should be and what's right and what's wrong. And if you can just like clear yourself of all of that and just be in action to doing what your heart wants, but it takes a lot of courage to do so. But the benefits, I think, are ultimately your personal freedom.
Absolutely. I like to say that fear and anxiety are excitement without deliberate action. Deliberate action meaning you're stepping forward in the direction of your dreams. You're stepping forward into where that fear is. So oftentimes if you're fear or anxious and you go outside for a run or a walk or whatever, that does calm you down for the moment. But that's not the deliberate action. If you're scared of being out on that rope, maybe you need to go on that rope. If you're scared of applying for new jobs, maybe you need to go apply for those jobs. Turn it into that excitement in action. And you grow courage, not despite your fear, but because of it. The fear and anxiety become your fuel.
It's funny. I've been doing this energetic kind of practice. It just came to me. Why, I don't know. But it's about running your energy. And it's called Kundalini opening. And so you have all this earth energy coming up through you. And because I'm very open energetically, when I feel it, feels like, a hurricane or, a tornado, just like volcano probably going through my system. And when I was talking to Swami Kichanarda, he was saying, so you have this energy, and it's about taking, you can do anything that you choose to do with that energy. You can take about worried, you can be angry, you can be sad, you can be fear-based, you can be, anxiety. It's like this is all like energy going out. And as I was meditating and doing this meditation and just shaking, like for me, it's so extreme, like my whole body is like just like my arms are flailing, I'm just like moving around because there's so much energy. And then over just actually right before this interview, I was thinking, I got the message about like when I'm doing this, I need to take the energy up and then have it go down and then just like like centered in my heart. And then just hold it. And and then exhale, and then start the process all over again. And when you direct the energy inward, I think what it does is it concentrates the power. So it just blows through all the resistance, all the fear, all the anxiety. It's just like a laser beam going all the way down.
Is it scary to hold on to that energy? Is
Yeah,
it
I
like
think
riding a wild horse?
well, it was before. I think it feels more scary going like this and wailing around because
Yeah.
your body is out of control and you feel out of control. But when you breathe in and then have it come out and then center it and bring it in and use all that energy with intention. In my case, it's like focusing on opening my heart, like that kind of thing. It's just a different kind of thing. And so going back to what we were saying about courage, it's about taking. Maybe it's the fear. Maybe it's the anxiety. Maybe it's the worry. I talked to someone today. She was just so angry with the people at work and it was just so dismal. And I said, okay, take that energy, before you come in and like, blah, they suck, blah, 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 take it and bring it in, and use that energy to and direct it. It's like this gigantic laser, right? Where do you want to point it? For me, I was just like, like opening up my heart, but you can do whatever you want. And it's interesting because when you were describing it, you had this, so when you hit that point of my legs are feeling wobbly, and I heard you said in your head, I can do this. I'm held. I am safe. What else happened during that moment that converted fear and anxiety to courage? I'm just kind of curious what happened for you at that moment.
I went back to the song and I kept moving. And then actually the song dissipated. I didn't need the song again after I stepped forward. At that moment, I was like, legs wobbly. Oh my God. Sing, step forward, bliss. I walked through it to the other side, and all of a sudden the fear, now I did some funky things at this point. I jumped up on the ropes and stuff, but I had pushed through to the other side, not out of I'm never that young, push through. It's the kind, gentle, easy, good. I guess I danced or skipped my way through to the other side. It's Michael style.
I love that. Okay. I'm more yang, of course. Of course, we both have the opposing energy to what is our actual gender. But it's funny because I'm reading this book. I have this group that I meet, a bunch of young guys from Amazon, and I don't even know how I'm meeting these people. I have no idea. I'm not going to think about it. But
Cool.
There are a whole bunch of these developers and tech folks in Seattle that are really into meditation. And they pointed me to this book by Daniel Ingram. I think there's Daniel Ingram and someone else. Anyways, they talk about the process of cultivating your mind through various spiritual practices, and how really there's only three truths when it comes down to meditation. It's about no self, it's about no suffering, and it's about impermanence. And so all the insight meditation is to notice. If we slow everything down, we start noticing that our breath, our awareness in our eyes, it's all these just little micro slices of time that are happening very fast. And if you can kind of focus our mind so that then we can kind of see in slow motion all these kind of changes. And so we realize that everything is impermanent and it changes moment for moment. And if we can just concentrate on singing or concentrate on our minds to snap back to this place of focus, we can recognize that this too will pass. Like this feeling of anxiety or fear or whatever is arising, you can just, center it back. And that knowing that this moment will pass, this fear, this anxiety will pass, and I can center it or move past it or dance past it or think past it or concentrate past it, you can realize that none of these feelings are permanent. It's not really me anyway who is feeling this. This is just there's some other self that's experiencing this moment as it is. And I don't have to suffer because I know that, if I tune into the story, focus in on the content, then I suffer, right? Oh my God, I can't get down. Oh my God, oh my God, I'm in front of these people telling my most scary story. Oh my God, if you go down that direction, it's like, then you're fixating, instead of focusing on this, you're focusing on one point and you're building it and building it and building it until it's really thick. And then your legs are quivering and you're crying.
So there are a couple quivering, crying thoughts that come up here.
Yeah.
First off, life is a game. When you realize, like you're saying, this too shall pass. Everything passes. In the moment, it seems like do or die, this is the end of the world. And I guess if you fell and there wasn't a belay, this may be the end of the world. But even then, it's still not the end of the world. Right. We don't have to go there today, but
you know that it's not the end of the world.
I know that.
I know that twice.
Been there, done that. As we all have been there, done that in a very long time span, kind of the collective amnesia that we have. But it really is a game. We get too, like you're saying, fixated on that exact moment. This is the only moment. Now, there's a be here now aspect. But when you realize that this is just a game, and how do I want to play the game? And okay, if the game didn't work out great today, I get the reset button. It's called I'm going to sleep tonight, and I get to play it again a different way tomorrow. I was gifted with the opportunity, a reset button almost 30 years later, to go do the ropes course all over again. And so I wanted to play the game differently this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And what's happening with Jessica? She's playing it different. What's her? I'm just kind of curious about her story.
She's been knocked down by mold again. It turns out the house we have that we've been like, is it moldy? Is it moldy?
Oh, no.
And so she's knocked down. She's doing the best she can. And we've been working to get out. So she's sleeping at the new house where we'll be moving to. We were supposed to move this week. We love you, Marianne. Marianne's place where we're supposed to move to, she can't move to Florida right now because her home is in the direct path of Irma coming up.
Oh, no.
And so everybody's in a holding pattern. We've moved almost everything to storage. That's why I said Jessica's in the other room working on the computer on a floor. She doesn't have the desk now. The bed is out of here. But we can't have her sleeping here at night because it is knocking her so good. She made it till about...
So where is she sleeping then?
She's sleeping over at Marianne's place. I'm sleeping here with the kitty cats.
Right.
Until about 5 weeks ago, she was like, no, it's not mold. It's not mold. I'm doing great. 5 weeks ago, she went out for a beautiful run, came back. She's like, I'm so energized. Grabs the pushing lawnmower and goes and push mows the lawn. Came back in. Oh, she's awesome. She came back in and she goes, I feel like my immune system might not quite be perfect. Boom, down, and she hasn't fully gotten healthy yet since. I mean, she went down hard that day, and so she's kind of brain foggy and exhausted all the time, and it's been really sad and frustrating. And then we learned just yesterday, and there's nothing you can do about it. I knew this place had to have flooded. And we just found out from the landscaper yesterday, it's been knee-deep in water before.
Oh, gosh.
And they just painted over it. And so it's like, why? And yes, we're going to be asking that spiritual question of why did this happen over again? What is there to learn? But she has courage that she's even hanging in there right now because this has got to be really hard on her. So,
right. And just for folks who have, maybe this is their first time listening. So Jessica had how many years in Hawaii suffering from this, like where she was, and how many years of recovery from mold? So like facing us again is like probably facing one of her greatest health fears, right?
Yeah, and she's doing an amazing, it was probably several years she was down on Maui. It's probably from when we moved into this place over 3 years that she started to get the effect, but then it became cumulative more and more until her body had said no more. And then it was a good year and a half to recover. And God, she got so strong, recovered so well. And for the last 6 months before we moved here, she was on top of the world. Then we came here and she started getting really tired. She started needing to take more naps. Her fitness started to go away, and it was this cumulative thing. I'm hopeful that this time around we can bounce her back real quickly once she's in good air.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a process, and you're right. So she has gone to her automatic writing, to her meditation when she's clear-minded, and this
Mm-hmm.
is really courage to step into herself and say, okay, what can I do in this? What can I do when I'm out of this? And how can I shift my health through this experience? And so her courage has been just absolutely over the top amazing. And then yesterday, she blew my mind. We've had to move and put everything into storage. I'm a good, strong lifter, carrier of stuff. The organization of this goes here, that goes there, this we take, that we don't take, blows my mind. So I'm looking around the house yesterday going, I don't know how we're going to do it. Now, I'm not saying that as we're not going to make it. My
Right.
courage was, when you don't know how you're going to be able to do it, just keep putting that one foot in front of you, in front of the other, the solution will appear. But she was doing everything she could with her limited resources to help get us out. And she was at least 50-50 on the project because I'm trying to keep the show going at the
Mm-hmm.
same time we're doing it. But just dumbfounding how strong or brave or courageous she was. And it took us till almost midnight last night. We're at the storage unit
Wow.
getting everything in, and she's gone at this point. I'm like, you, seat, chair, take, me, carry. Me, Tarzan, carry.
Wow. It's uh last Saturday I was walking around with a dear friend who I walk around the lake each week with her, and she sent me an email saying like, oh, I wasn't sure I was going to meet, but I think I'm going to meet. Something about my sister, kind of contact with my sister, and it was one of those things where Siri auto corrected her
Mhm.
what she was saying from. I don't remember exactly what she would say, what she said, but she said my sister died, but I got my sister something completely different than died. So I was like, hey, how are you doing? Because I knew something was going on with her sister. And then she had said that her sister died, and I thought, oh my God, like Suri has failed us because I was acting appropriately for something I knew might have been going on with her sister, but I didn't know exactly what was going on, and I knew that she was having had stage 4 cancer, so that wasn't things weren't going well for her, and so Suri, it's just a weird story about technology. So that was one, and then on that day before meeting with her, a dear friend of mine's daughter had found out that she got breast cancer. And then that following Monday, I my writing teacher wrote us saying, you know what, I went to the doctor and I actually have leukemia and I need to
Wow.
go get radiation next Friday. And so it was just like, oh my gosh. And it was so interesting to see just the different responses. It's like the courage to die, right? To just say,
Mhm.
I'm done. And for her sister, she said, okay, like, I need to go to hospice. And it was just that courage to face death in the face, which was just phenomenal. When you reach that point, you're like, I'm accepting that the next
Mhm.
part is death, which I can't even imagine what kind of courage that would take. And the courage of my friend's daughter, who is just waiting for like a week to find out what's happening with the biopsy and whether she has cancer. I mean, all these different ways of where life just knocks you on your butt. And then, my book teacher, who found out, and in each of the responses, one got super busy and just started like, okay, I'm just gonna get organized, get fit, just started getting really task oriented. The other one was like, you know what, it is going to be great. I'm going to be fine. This is a simple procedure. The doctor said, I could be, this is the person who's about to go into chemo. And she's like, I want you guys to be strong for me by writing. It's just staying true to her mission, even in the most dire circumstances for her. She's still congruent with her mission. I just saw so many interesting ways of dealing with fear, right? Running away from it and getting busy, trying to be productive and okay in the midst of fear, and having just this wild optimism and staying on course regardless of how much it was interesting to see all the different expressions of that courage
Wow.
last week.
It's an interesting time here, and last week I was putting sandbags outside the door for what turned out to be nothing more than a tropical depression. We, until yesterday, were planning on evacuating for Hurricane
Wow.
Irma, and it looks like today it shifted west, and I can't celebrate that because my heart
Right.
so goes out, beyond goes out, and I know by the time this airs it's already hit, and I send all my love, I send all my love, I send all my love. But we were working on
Where's it going now? I haven't been tracking it.
Florida. It's
Oh,
straight
okay, good.
on,
Yeah, I know it
square
was
on
in Florida.
Florida,
Okay, I didn't know if it was going up
Georgia.
there. Okay.
It'll Florida, Georgia, and probably right on the border of South Carolina before it goes up and inland. And it's at this moment, and everything can change. It's a storm of the century, to say the least.
Yes.
And so we were planning on evacuating, and so we're moving everything to a storage unit for a move that can't take place. We're keeping behind what we keep behind so we can run the show when we're on the road. We're getting supplies to be able to carry on the road, baskets and stuff for the car to carry this stuff. And we're on the forums watching all of these people, the conversations of people coming up to the storm, which is filled with fear. And I'm watching it and trying to see what we can learn from this experience. I can't even imagine if you're square on and that storm is coming. We knew that there was a good chance of it coming toward us, but it wasn't supposed to be a direct hit. Mm-hmm. To be able to move forward in that time, because I know a lot of people who have just, you say, why haven't they evacuated? There are some people who haven't taken it seriously, but there are other people who it's just too overwhelming.
Mm.
And so they're unable to step forward into that courage. And I guess I wasn't sure where I was going with this, but it's to just take the tiniest little baby steps, chunk it down, take the baby steps. In the face of incredible fear or terror and adversity, you will move forward to the other side. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're going, oh my God, there is a metaphorical or literal hurricane barreling down at me, I don't know what to do. I don't want to take panicked action, but I'm going to slowly take action no matter what. I think that's huge, huge courage.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I'm not to mitigate it at all, but when you were saying that, Jessica, I mean, this is like a hurricane coming towards her, and she's just like, I just have to take a step. And like you said, every step forward towards some type of direction, whether it's in Jessica's case, meditation and, praying to God, or, getting clear with what is happening for you, right? Because these hurricanes, these cancer, this, for us, it's burning skies. Like it's everything is burning around here because it's so dry. It's all like leading to this tension-filled moment of which, understanding what you're going to do with that energy. And do you get paralyzed in fear like you were with your shaking knees? You could have stayed there, right? Or it's like, I'm just going to take one step by channeling my mind into singing, into a happy thought. Or for me, which is like my mind went and I was like, nope, don't go there. And I just kind of snapped it back into this like, go back to this, not this, where it's one thought and fixated on it. I think that's the key thing is it can be paralyzing. And I think any type of fear and anxiety can be paralyzing, but just doing the one baby step and know that nothing, including this thought, this feeling, this emotion, this belief is permanent. Nothing is permanent. You just have to move to the next state and respond and move and respond and move and respond. Nothing's permanent.
I call it waves and troughs.
Yeah.
There's always going to be those highs. There's always going to be that low. And just like you were talking earlier about emotion and this too shall pass, that wave will always pass. And so in the moment, it is so such a chemical soup going on that it is. Your knees are wobbling underneath you. You feel like you literally may throw up. But if you realize it's gonna pass, it's just the trough or the wave, whichever way you want to look at it, you can, if not relax into it, which is interesting because I'm wondering whether I'm going to swim this afternoon. The waves are big, but they're very consistent, so I can swim safely, but I'll be looking at big waves. And each time you look at a big wave, the butterflies go off in your belly. And then I have to just, if a big wave comes, I guess it's a perfect analogy. If I'm swinging with the bigger waves today, and the wave comes, the butterflies start going, I dip down under the wave, and it's nice and calm, and the wave passes. Then I come up, I watch for the wave, the next one comes, the butterflies come up, I go down into the water. I'm fine. The wave, I relax through each wave. There's no fighting the wave. There's no denying this is a big wave, and if I stay on the surface, I'm going to be, kind of spun around quite a bit. I just relax into it instead and let the wave pass.
It's funny because this past Tuesday, I think it was, I was just, the fires were like literally everything is burning up. The sky is that kind of orange. The sun has that same orange hue that's in your background. And it's snowing ashes.
Oh, that is not a good feeling because we lived in Tues, about 30 miles north of, there was the largest fire in New Mexico at that point. And it was right by Los Alamos and where they stored nuclear stuff. And so we were all kind of nervous about that too, as was everybody. But when the ash came down in the yard, the butterflies, it is such a primal urge to run that's really hard to overcome that wiring and chemistry you've got then.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I saw it and it was like, when you watch a Harry Potter movie and you're like, oh my God, this is kind of magical and beautiful and horrific at the same time. It had that kind of a feeling. I was walking around going like, oh my God, it's beautiful. Like this eerie orange in the middle of the day, these white snowflake-like things coming down. And then like a pit in my stomach realizing that this beautiful, magical, wonderful experience was because things were being destroyed and people's property, trees, everything was just getting destroyed. It was just so, and you can't breathe. Like you can't breathe pure. Like if you have asthma, it's hard to breathe during all of this stuff. But so it was the floods, and I was just because I think probably we are similar. I am very sensitive, so I can feel the energy. And if it gets bad enough, where people are worried about being deported. People have lost their homes, and everything that they know is being wiped away. And trees are like hundreds and hundreds of acres are being burned down because actually some teenagers were playing with firecrackers. That's what basically started the fire in Washington. And I just was feeling that I woke up at 3 a.m. and I just could not go to sleep because it's almost like I could feel all of that. And I went to yoga and I was like trying to like fill myself with gratitude and light. And I wasn't having any of it. You know what I mean? I just couldn't.
Oh no.
I couldn't do it. So then I went to yoga class and I was like, I just can't do this. I cannot like fill myself up with light. And I just thought, you just have to relax into feeling utterly awful. You feel utterly awful. There's nothing you can do. Don't try to put a smiley face on it. It's just, you're feeling utterly awful, and that's just is what it is. So do the yoga class, and I set my intention to feel peace and equanimity, and I just kept on doing the yoga class. And at the end of the yoga class, she did usually they have a 3 to 5 minute shavasana. She did a 7-minute shavasana. And so that's a point where that's like the whole juice of the whole yoga session. It's like when your body, mind, and spirit are all in alignment and you're just completely at ease. So I'm lying there and at one point I'm like, how long have I been here? Like I could have been there 3 seconds or 5 hours. I have no idea.
Well, that's
There's just this transcendent moment. And so I go back, I'm like, I don't know. And I just go back. I'm like, I'll hear the bell or whatever that, and it was just this, it was a period of equanimity during that. And so even like even within that, that hour and 15-minute difference, I moved from a place of utter disarray to a moment of just the deepest, most still serenity that I could imagine experiencing. And it really was a life lesson of like, wow, I don't know how many times I have to experience it, but it will pass. Whatever you're feeling will pass. It's the thing that you said, you need to feel like you have the support of the universe, the love of the universe, and the ground below you.
Mhm.
Like that's all you need really, and to have faith and courage. And it passed, right? Formula
Woo!
works.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
I
Oh
want to learn
gosh.
the secret to my parents. I was really watching them as I was visiting them
Yeah.
this weekend, because they are survivors. They're amazing, and they have, I don't understand how they do it. They have a joyous, cheerful, childlike attitude, even though at every moment they're going, "Oh God, it's not going to work out. Oh God, we're doomed." I don't know how those two things fit together in the same package, but it's working for them.
That's fascinating. So their mindset, are they kind of like, I guess we're doomed? Or are they like really getting into the emotional felt expression of being doomed and scared and in anxiety?
Their natural baseline state is, oh, this is terrible.
Oh,
You get out on the highway, a car brake light goes on in front of us. Oh, there's no way we're going to make it there in time. Oh my God, now
oh,
what? And
yes.
yet they're joyous and cheerful, and I'm convinced they have anything but a good diet, but they're still around and they're still super healthy and they're still kicking, which is this attitude. And I don't know how the two work together,
It's
of the
quite
default
curious.
negativity bias and the woohooedness. This woohoo
Yeah.
comes from them in a sense. They're giddy and laughing like little kids. I don't know how that fits together, but it's working for them, and there's something to
Yeah.
be learned there.
I wonder if it is that they're just leaning into whatever is happening at the moment. And so they're just letting those states pass. But you're saying it feels more like of a permanent state, right?
For them, well, they'll have serious troughs, but then they bounce back to a kid-like state. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's part of this courage of not taking things too seriously, is to go and approach things with more of a fun, childlike eyes. Because the child, even if you tell the child, so the child in the moment may go, "We're doomed," and then a couple of seconds later will be like, "You want to play?"
So maybe it's being present to what is. I
Maybe
don't know.
that's
Did you ask them? Or you just
it.
observe them like, what the heck's going on here?
I observed and was trying to learn from them, because it's clear they have some greatness going on even with this, if you looked at it on the surface, incredible negativity bias of, they always look at what's the worst case scenario, and that's obviously the one that's coming for them. But then they're having fun and laughing and truly joyous. And how that fits together, I don't know. I have some more learning, some more studying to do of them.
I guess it's kind of like high vibration meets low vibration, and they just kind of like net each other out
Yeah, they're canceling each other out. I love it.
I don't really know. That it's funny because sadly in my family, Asians have this whole, worry is really worry, guilt. This I know is similar to Jewish background, but worry, guilt, shaming. It's like these are kind of like the three operative. That's like the three noble truths of being Asian. You
Oh
know,
no.
there is suffering. There is suffering, and you're meant to suffer because that's how you be the very best version of yourself. Things will always go wrong and be permanently in that state. Like it's just a state it's almost like a cultural state of mind. And sadly, my dad adopted that state and, died of a heart attack, at 64. So, I'm not sure, power to your parents that they were able to, but my dad never had those woo-hoo, ha, ha, like there was never, he was just serious, dedicated, you know, he didn't have any moments of, occasional, like when I'd go home, he'd be happy to see me, or, maybe he'd be reading a book and enjoying it, but it was never that kind of childlike laughter. It was almost kind of like a serious learning, growing, learning, growing, learning, growing. There's nothing that was his joy, learning and growing, but there wasn't any kind of like presence, happiness. And so he died early.
Mm-hmm.
My aunt, who was always observing, I'm sure she had OCD about cleanliness. She also died early. My uncle, who was actually happy-go-lucky, also died early. I mean, these are all people who died probably under the age of 70, like pretty young in these days. So I don't really know, but I think the only difference, if I compare their lives to the lives that you're talking about with your parents, what the big difference is the childlike innocence.
Yeah.
And like even momentary blips up where you're just like joyously giddy and present to whatever it is and enjoying it. Like, there's my 47-year-old son. What who's wooing?
Swinging from the rafters, literally.
Yeah. What can you do? Like, so I think maybe even if it's having little pops like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or enough, because maybe that's the trick. I mean, I know that my family not all of my family has it figured out. However, my grandfather, that was 101 years old, he would just like, things would happen and it's like things would just roll off his back.
Yeah.
Anything. I was mad at him. I was pissed off at him because I told this old man that I was pregnant. He was one of the first people. And I said, don't tell anyone, because it's like your thing to share when you're pregnant. And then he told everyone. And I was like, I'm kind of mad. And he's like, everything.
You told me.
Everything just rolled off his back.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's at least one other longevity attitude I've seen: have things roll off your back or have childlike innocence. So far we have two strategies.
I like them both. So I'm not sure if this pertains or not, but I have a note to ask you about the magic garden.
Oh, the magic garden. Well, I we painted. We're now figuring out the colors of our house, and so it used to be green and this like vibrant red, almost to the red in the back of the screen. And my husband said, I don't really like that, so we made it purple. And now there's a sense of like, I'm like, it sort of looks like a haunted house, not exactly, but has that general vibe.
Well, this is going to get repainted.
No, it's not. I was like, maybe you could do this. Maybe he's like, no, we're going to do this. We need to be finished with this project. Stop throwing up ideas. I'm like, okay. So the newest idea is, one, we're going to put this incredible garden throughout there's going to be this beautiful green space. And then we're thinking of putting a bright green door, like almost fluorescent green door in front of our house so that we can have a color that pops. So we're going to have a magic garden and all these beautiful colors in our house. We're going to have this purple, almost like a little bit the darkest purple in the back of your screen, like a rich green, like an evergreen green, and then like a lime. And these beautiful, I just had our landscape architect come over, and so our house is almost being finished.
Wow.
And that's actually a beautiful thing. I'll have to show you pictures, but it's really very cool. Very cool.
And so here are a couple takeaways from that. First off, we have going to the creative process, which can help you get through anything and get the juices flowing. There's the reset button of not only cleaning up, but changing things and being able to look at them from a new perspective. It's almost as if you've got a new home, which changes everything. It's like walking through a new doorway by having those changes.
Yes, that's a really good point. So when when you're going through the transformative stages, of which I am, it's like, so this empty nesting group is like, I think I'm going to create like a little group and talk about, like I walked with a girlfriend of mine about the transitions that we're going through, and it was just so healing. And I thought, there needs to be groups of people who talk about this phenomenon, because I think it could be really helpful and healing. So there's a lot of like idea generation, but it's kind of like a little bit like this kind of thing, like energy coming up and responding and trying to figure out, going back inside and then figuring out, how do I center this? And at the same time as these opportunities are coming up. So that's kind of what's happening for me. It's exciting. And I'm in a really low energy place. So I'm kind of like, oh, yeah, that looks kind of exciting. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow or the next day. But I think it's this thing that we were talking about. Is just take one small step. Call a friend of mine, go for a walk, send an email out, and then just go from there and see, what sticks and what doesn't. So we've had the most complete, how the things that we came up with ended up all relating to courage, and then cycle back. I have to give us a woohoo. That was good.
Woohoo! The last piece I will add on this is you were talking about playing with and creating with nature. And you even talked about going for walks and stuff. To build courage, going out into nature, getting to someplace larger than yourself, someplace expansive, someplace you can breathe, which is a challenge for you right now with this air. But getting to someplace you can breathe and step back and take pause, I think that gives you the juice that recharges you. I guess if you can't get to nature, look at beautiful images of nature and look at the resonance, the music, the tones that you can bring in. That's one thing that we've been doing in the house, particularly as Jessica's been going down, is using music as medicine, is what music has the frequency we want to help put us in that special place, not just to get through it, but feel better in each moment.
Well, I'm going to take your advice, because I am going to, I'm all done on this show. I think I've offered everything I can give, and I'm going to go on a kayak. How about you? Any last words?
Woohoo! And I'm probably going to go on a swim, although I will check the water first to make sure it's not too excited. You have no idea, and I'm saying this to everyone, you have no idea how great you are and how much you can accomplish. It's much greater over the long term than you can ever imagine. We overestimate what we can do in the short term. We completely underestimate what we're capable of doing in the long term. So just take one baby step forward today. You will climb whatever mountain is in front of you and beyond. That's all I got.
Love it. Take one step. That would be mine.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler and a soon-to-be kayaking
CJ Liu
saying, be well, have fun, step forward into your future, and shine bright.
Woo! Okay, I have to go. Bye, honey.
Bye. Go play. Have fun.
Bye.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also, leave your comments. Have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!